Hi, I'm Jennifer Poole,
And I'm Dave Poole.
and this is our 20 days.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to our 20 days. So I'm recording this on Tuesday morning, February 20th, which puts us just about a week into Lent. And I wanted to spend just a few minutes kind of reflecting on Lent for me this year. So the three real pillars of Catholic, maybe celebration's not the right word, observance of Lent, are prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. You might see different words for each of those, but fundamentally, that's what we're talking about. So, Father Mark, our priest at St. Benedict's here in Mount Pleasant, gave us a challenge this week, and I thought it was an interesting challenge that I've decided to take up. And while I'm a little behind on it, it's something that'll be easy to catch up on. His challenge really was to spend sometime every day with the commitment to read 2 chapters of each of the 4 Gospels of the New Testament. So the Gospel according to Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. Each author has different points of view, different stories to tell, as it were. And it's been quite a long time since I've done that. So done anything like that in terms of reading the Bible. So I've taken up that challenge, and it mirrors, again, Lent is reflective of the 40 days that Christ spent in the desert, and did without and did other things. And so the prayer component to me reflects being introspective, and I'm looking forward to doing this. I haven't started yet, so I've got, what do we get, 35 days, 34 days left in Lent, and I don't remember the exact number of chapters there, but I might have to do more like 3 chapters a day to get caught up here, but I intend to do that. So that second pillar is related to fasting, and it, again, because of the 40 days that Christ spent in the desert, he did without, much food or drink or anything like that. So in my case, I think of this as health related. My physical problems, my medical conditions, I think, are largely related to my own behaviors. I don't eat well. I don't exercise as much as I should. And so fasting is about removing those things in your life that you've grown attached to that perhaps you shouldn't be as attached as you are. So in my case, I'm not an absolutist. I'm not one of those folks that says, "Yep, yeah, I'm not going to eat any piece of chocolate for the period of Lent." I know that I probably can't do that. So it's either a drastic reduction or a shift in behavior of some sort. That's how I choose to interpret fasting, for me anyway, because I want it to be a sacrifice for not doing something. But on the other hand, this takes us to the third pillar, which is almsgiving, and looking out for the poor or others in life in general. And Jennifer and I do contribute to a number of causes, some things in small amounts, some things in larger amounts. The old saying about your time, your treasure, or your talent. Sometimes I'm spending time or my abilities to help something along. Other times it's monetary. So, in our case, we've got a couple of long-time institutions that we've given money to over the years that we make a little extra effort this time of year to do. 2 of them are related to the Medical University of South Carolina, MUSC, here in Charleston, one of the leading hospital systems here in the Southeast, that we have benefited. Actually, Jennifer directly has benefited from their services over the years. One is the MUSC Hollings Cancer Center. That's where her ovarian cancer was diagnosed and treated. So obviously we have a great place in our heart for that institution and all the people that work there and the services they provide for others. So we make an effort to contribute there. And then secondly, the other MUSC item is something called the Storm Eye Institute. This is as you might gather, focused on vision and ophthalmology and optometry and anything vision related. We were fortunate enough, Jennifer was diagnosed, and we'll talk about this in a future episode in a little more detail, with something called blephaspasm, which is essentially, normally it's a condition related to your eyelids. And the muscles in your eyelids start malfunctioning in some fashion. The signal, the nerve endings misfire, something about that. It's not totally well understood what happens, but the ramification of it is many times your eyes will close and you can't reopen them without literally, sticking your fingers on them and pulling them up. And she went through this for about 3 years. And you got to the point where she couldn't drive, because reliably, if your eyes are going to go blink and not open, randomly, that's not a good thing for driving, or a lot of other things in life. So it really diminished her ability to take care of herself for about 3 years. And we never did figure out exactly what happened. She's now rid of that condition. And we attribute it to, she made some dietary changes, some pretty significant dietary changes, which we believe at least contributed to this going into remission, for lack of a better word. I hate to use the word cure. But Dr. Eisman, our ophthalmologist, who's also head of the Eye Storm Institute, said that these spontaneous remissions are pretty rare, and it's another one of the events in our lives that we've attributed to God and faith and Christ, and they're the healing powers of all of the above, and putting the right people like Dr. Eisman and other folks in our lives at those times. So the other place that we've started to provide some funding to is the Star Gospel Mission, which is in downtown Charleston. It is a Christian, non-denominational shelter for homeless men and men transitioning from being homeless into jobs and into a more mainstream type of life. And we've done a couple of things with them historically. One, our Molly Maid business for a number of years did a lot of vacation rental cleanings, and we had provided linen services for a number of those cleanings, where we would provide sheets and towels for the bedding and the bathrooms in those properties. Because most of that stuff is on the weekends, and COVID basically killed the idea of being able to hire people to work weekends in the volumes that we needed. We've spent the last couple of years backing out of that part of our business, at least the volume that we had. And so we had a bunch, a couple hundred sets of sheets and towels that we no longer needed. So we donated almost all of those to the Star Gospel Mission, just basic day-to-day supplies that people need. And since then we've started, in this time of year, we make sure we make an effort to provide some additional cash types of things to them. So those are the things that are kind of on my mind for prayer and fasting and almsgiving for this Lent. I always come out of Lent feeling cleansed, for lack of a better word. And I don't know if that's actually, part of the teaching, as it were. But it's something that I feel better about myself and my place in the universe coming out of Lent. So looking forward to this Lenten season, and hope you and yours find it in your hearts to celebrate the arrival of Christ and the redemption of Christ. So again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for joining us today on Our 20 Days. Be sure to subscribe or like our website at our20days.com to make sure you receive all updates for new episodes. And again, thanks for joining us at Our 20 Days.